The screen. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fantasy Fiends podcast, where we discuss everything fantasy. Today, we have the wonderful Alycia Christine. Did I say that right? Alycia Christine?
Yes, you did.
Awesome. Great. Well, Andy and I are very well known for getting names horribly, horribly wrong, and people are wondering how we're even writers. So we're also here with Andy Peliquin, aka The Giant, who has just released a new book. Thief of the Night Guild, right?
Very good.
Yeah.
It's only been 2 days since you heard the name last and you remembered it.
No, you have so many titles in each book. It's Thief of the Night Guild of Queen Guild series of the Bucelari.
Queen of Thieves, Stevie.
Queen of Thieves. Okay. You also have a little cool dragon symbol on there.
The dragon?
Yeah. Hey, I bought your book, by the way.
Oh, good. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And it was, I'm just trying to help a buddy out, so you can buy 6 of mine when mine comes out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, I was thinking, once I do the live reading of your book in my group, I'll be like, all right, who wants to take pity on this new writer, and I'll buy them, a book for them to review it for.
That would be awesome. Hey, please take pity on a new author, please. I'm a very humble person, so Alycia, we usually start off each podcast with some hilarious banter, which comes naturally from us two bearded men, and then we have. Did you get a chance to check out our little packet?
Yes, I did.
Well, just disregard the whole thing.
Okay, great.
Because basically, Andy created sort of an organized, structured show, and Stevie decided, okay, well, I like this, but we're not going to use it.
Yeah.
Every time he throws it up.
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
So what direction are you taking us today, Stevie?
Well, I was wondering if you had a word of the day, because if you do, we're gonna have 2, because I found one.
No, do yours. I've been taking it for the last few weeks, so hit it.
Okay. So the word of the day is aberrant or aberrant. You can say it both ways, and it is something it's an adjective meaning not normal or varying from the usual, which describes me.
I think, doesn't that describe everybody who's currently around on here?
Yeah, every fantasy author is aberrant.
Yeah, very true. We're all sort of aberrations in our own way.
Yeah, it reminds me of that book, The Aberrat, the Aberrat by Clive Barker. No one here's a Clive Barker fan. All right, I'm leaving. Well, y'all know who Clive Barker is, right?
I've heard the name.
Okay, I'm a big fan of the Hellraiser, so it's no one will watch it with me because they just think it's a horrible movie. But he also did Midnight Meat Train.
Yeah,
I love that movie. I haven't read the book. What's up?
If you're a Clive Barker fan, you should recognize the name Peliquin. It's the name of the character from Nightbreed.
Are you serious? I watched that movie.
Yeah, Peliquin is the anti-hero in Nightbreed.
I did not know that. Wow, this is ironic. Oh, a little tip for a little special thing nobody knows about Stevie. I am very good at getting misusing the word ironic and literally.
Perfect.
I get those two mixed, not mixed up, but I always use them incorrectly. So if you hear me using them incorrectly, literally correct me.
Nice.
I wish I had an audience so I could get some laughter. Now it's just an awkward silence.
Yeah, we should set up a laugh track.
Whoa.
That would be fun.
That would be fun. Alycia, I got to ask about... Sorry?
No, I was going to say sort of how radio personalities, they've got their sound effects and stuff. We should get those going on.
If only Google Hangouts had that. I looked up some apps for it, but there's no apps for Google Hangouts. It's weird. So last night I went and watched Spider-Man. And
which one?
It's called Homecoming.
Okay.
And first of all, I loved it. Amazing movie. Andy, why are you making a face? You liked it?
No. I thought it was perfect because like there was some stuff in there that none of the other Spider-Man movies would have done. Like the fact when he's swinging through suburbia and he, you know, swings into a pool and splashes everybody. The other Spider-Man movies took themselves very seriously. This one was just the right tone of lighthearted and funny. And, you know, he was a kid, so obviously he screwed up over and over. But it was done so well that I enjoyed every minute. I found one thing that I was like, eh. But it was such a great movie.
My favorite part of the movie was all the high school students were their freaking age. They were all 14 to 17, not 35-year-old models. You know what I mean?
That's actually not quite true. What's his name is 25.
That little kid?
Tom Holland. I mean, he's 20. He's 20.
Okay, but he looks like he's 14.
Sure.
That's what I mean. Like all the other Spider-Mans, I always felt like they were like 30-year-olds walking down the halls.
Yeah, but they were also older, I think, than him. Like he's 15, so he's full on high school. I think the Tobey Maguire one was more college-y than
That's
high school.
right. It was, yeah.
I have no idea about the Andrew Garfield one. I didn't really pay much attention to those.
I liked him. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't think Spider-Man's very fantasy, is it?
No, but it's okay. We love comic books, so
it doesn't matter.
To talk about these things.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
No, because seriously, it doesn't. Because let's face it, when we're talking about fantasy, we've got, you know, characters who deal in magic and have all sorts of different superpowers. So the two are kind of related.
You know, I have to ask, what is the map behind you?
I was thinking the same thing.
Oh, okay. So the map is actually the map of my world, of the Sylvan continent.
Awesome. That is so cool.
Thank you.
How did you get that done?
I had a lot of fun. I did it.
What?
Yeah, I'm an artist as well as an author.
I may be hiring you to do my map then.
Okay.
Oh, that was that simple. Okay.
Whereabouts on the map is your book set or the books? Where does most of the stuff take place?
I don't know if you can actually see, but you see right up here, the Sphinx's Gape. That's where the series starts. And it starts with an invasion from the northern continent into the southern continent. And this is the Feliconis village, which is my main character's village. And it's the first village to be attacked.
Oh, so, is that like a land bridge? Is that a land bridge between the two continents? Like literally the only connection?
Yeah, it is. And there's a whole huge history that goes with it. But it literally is protected by a sphinx. So, Sphinx Gape. You have to literally crawl through her mouth in order to get to the southern continent.
Wow.
And for anyone who is not watching our YouTube video and is actually listening to this podcast, Alycia has made this huge map from her book, and she created it herself, and it looks awesome, like something directly out of Tolkien. I mean, it looks like a ton of work was done. So you should definitely get on YouTube and go check that out, or just buy her book. That would probably be best anyway.
Yes, because the map is in both books.
Okay, cool. Like in the front?
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Andy, where do we go from here?
You know what? Let's go into the discussion topic for the day. I figure that seems a fun place to go naturally.
Okay, so today's topic is, should Andy shave his beard?
Yes, absolutely. Wait, no.
Actually, I was supposed to shave. I was supposed to clean it up a little bit. Yeah, but I was in a writing group, so I totally forgot to shave.
Nice.
Yeah. And does my hair look okay today, Andy?
Yeah, it's very slicked back, very nicely done. Not like mine. Actually, before the podcast, there was like these strands in the back here that just refused to go down. So I like plastered them down for 5 minutes to get them done.
And Alycia, your hair is really nice.
Thank you. And yeah,
welcome.
I was hoping it would look better because I was hoping not to have the headphones, but that's okay. This works better.
Okay, I'm sorry, Andy. Go ahead.
No. Alycia was saying that one of the themes of her books is overcoming weaknesses or disabilities through two of her characters, Katya and Dayalin. Is that how it's pronounced?
Dayalin.
Give us a little bit more information on first the characters and then how their weaknesses and disabilities affect them.
Okay, Katya is the main character of the series, and she is a skin shifter, which means she has the ability to shapeshift, but it's not quite the normal way. She's actually a werecat, so she looks like an upright walking lioness, And she has the ability / curse of changing into a human by the light of the full moon. So consequently, it causes her all sorts of problems. There's a lot of pain that occurs with it, and she can't really control the metamorphosis. And whenever she does it, the magic that is used to transform her is actually very loud, if you will. Mm-hmm. So it can attract the wrong kind of creatures and put her in a lot of danger.
Okay.
So that's Katya. Dalen is what's known as a Dampier, or in my universe, a hybrid. And if you know, how much do you guys actually know what a Dampier is?
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay, Andy does, Stevie doesn't. Okay, so vampires, Walking Dead, they drink the blood of people and are, horrible and nasty. Uh-huh. Dampiers are originally vampire hunters. They were originally sired between a vampire and human, and they have all of the strengths of the vampires, but none of the weaknesses. So they still have to drink blood, but they can walk out in the daylight. They're my Dampiers are impervious to fire, which my vampires are not. And my Dampiers can also handle sun silver weaponry.
How do you become a Dampier?
You're not actually supposed to exist. There was a vampire named Caleb in my universe who ended up falling in love with a fire forger mage human named Marga. And the two of them married and ended up siring 2 children. Dalen is one, Darren, his brother, is the other. And they weren't supposed to ever exist, but they do.
Okay, so then let's get into the disability side of things. What is their disabilities?
Dalen and Darren both have the ability to fire forge like their mother, so they can control fire. But the problem is that both of them have to have blood in order to survive. So they have an addiction to blood and have to drink it. They have both sworn off drinking the blood of beings. Anyone that has a soul, off limits. You can only drink the blood of animals. And for the two of them, because of that addiction, they're constantly fighting the battle.
So is it written from the perspectives of basically drug addicts or alcohol addicts? Like, is it written with that sort of problems in mind? They're lying to their families in order to, cover up their addiction, or doing crazy, degrading things to feed that. Like, is it written from the perspective of an addict?
In a lot of ways, yes.
Delve into that more.
Sorry. Okay. So for the two of them, there was actually a situation in which Darren couldn't handle and overcome the addiction. So he fell, and he actually did drink the blood of a being and became a full vampire. And Dalen has still held on and is able to somewhat control his thirst, but it's very, very difficult, and he has to be very careful whenever he's around other people. So he took the route of basically shuttering himself away from most other beatings in order to try and kind of keep that temptation at bay. And it doesn't always work very well, but that's what he's attempting to do. So Dalen's greatest fear is basically becoming his brother.
And the brother is a full-on vampire?
Yeah. The brother is a full-on vampire. In point of fact, the brother was the one who ended up leading the march into Sylvan territory through the Sphinx Gate and started the war that we've currently got going through all the books.
Interesting. And so one of the themes that you mentioned was sort of overcoming the weaknesses or disability and even turning them into abilities. How does that happen in the book?
There's a lot of different things that I'll do. Friendship and family and the strength of loved ones plays a very large part of being able to overcome the disabilities. There's also each character goes through a specific regimen of training that helps them at least figure out ways of coping with the disabilities and figuring out how to take some of the strengths that are associated with them and build upon those. So Katya, for example, she starts out not being able to control her ability at all, but through a training regimen, she's able to actually be able to control it more. And as the series goes on, she has less problems with it, although it still plagues her from time to time.
So, you said you had a vampire named Caleb.
Mm-hmm.
Was that influenced by something, a famous vampire named Caleb?
Nope, not at all.
Okay, 'cause there is a famous vampire named Caleb. Andy, do you know who I'm talking about? It's from an old vampire movie. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is, fun fact about Stevie Collier is I was actually almost named Caleb after a vampire.
Oh.
So it would have been Caleb Collier the vampire. So
Instead of Stevie
Not
Collier
bad.
the gnome.
instead of
Nice.
Stevie, yeah, instead of the
That
gnome, yeah.
sounds, that sounds like it could be like one of those brother, vampire hunting teams, Caleb and Stevie Collier, or something like that. It could work.
It could work.
You could write a novel about it, Stevie.
I don't know. You brought up the Caleb thing, so I was wondering if you'd named him after that famous. I forget the TV show it was on, but speaking of characters that have a disadvantage that becomes an advantage, let me know if I have this right. In my book, there is a black energy that is beneath the world. And it comes out and it forces itself into this little boy's mouth and he eats it. And it's this horrible beast inside of him that he's always like wanting to kill other humanoids when he's walking around. It just takes over his vision, and kind of like becoming a werewolf. He doesn't know what happened. He doesn't remember anything. And he goes through this trial of his mentor to see if he can control it. And it's the sleeping trials. Anyway, he's actually able to control this. They couldn't get rid of it, but he's able to control it a little bit more, which the disadvantage becomes the advantage, because now he can use this black energy to become more powerful, to summon an actual twin beside him who can stop time and actually tear people apart. He's like this little mangy twin that can rip people apart. Am I getting that right? So it's a disadvantage, but it becomes an advantage.
Yeah. Or one of my favorite examples of this is it's a book called Queen of Bones by an author named Greg Zimmerman. 2 G's, Zimmerman, how it sounds. And the whole story is about this girl with rheumatoid arthritis, which is not the arthritis that's the result of wear and tear like athletes get, but it's a chronic condition where it's the body attacking joint tissue. And so she's literally hobbling on crutches the entire book. But it's fascinating because the world, it's a post-apocalyptic world where solar flares have destroyed the earth, essentially. So people are hiding underground or in bomb shelters, stuff like that, to avoid the solar flares. But this girl, because of her rheumatoid arthritis, when the solar flare is coming, she can feel it like 2 hours in advance. So she knows she has 2 hours to get to safety. And so people who have, the strong who normally survive in a Walking Dead-esque scenario, they've all died out because they have no idea the solar flare is coming until it's too late. Whereas her rheumatoid arthritis becomes the ability that keeps her alive. And at the beginning, it's just keeping her alive, but she saves other people. And eventually, in the climax of the book, I'm not going to spoil it, but it's basically her superpower. But it's such a strange thing because from one minute to the next, she is the most vulnerable, weakest person in any room. And then she is the only thing keeping the strong alive. And it was such a fascinating book that it actually inspired this whole collection of short stories that I'm writing. It'll be released in October, titled Different Not Damaged, where there's different disorders, whether it's autism or PTSD. And it's sort of using that same concept of a disability that becomes an ability, or showcasing how things that we perceive as disabilities can actually be something more of an ability when in the proper scenario, obviously. But it was such an interesting book. I highly recommend it for anybody who likes dystopian or post-apocalyptic, or just a really unique read. Queen of Bones by Greg Zimmerman. Great book.
I still have to read some books by Abercrombie.
Oh, yeah. His whole half a King, the Shattered Sea series features a guy with like a clubbed hand. I don't know what the politically correct term is, but it's basically a malformed hand. But he doesn't actually turn it into an ability. It's just sort of a feature of who he is. The guy's got a disability where he's got this hand that doesn't work. So in fact, he can't become the king of his land. because of this disability.
Oh, they won't let him?
And yeah, well, it's one of those Viking-esque type
Oh,
civilizations where the strongest warrior becomes the king by merit of warlike ability instead of bloodlines or anything like that. Like the kid is the son of the king, but he gets betrayed by his uncle because the uncle's like, we can't have half a man sitting on the throne, hence the name Half a King. Yeah. It's a really interesting series. It doesn't necessarily turn that disability into an ability, but it showcases what it's like to live with the disability. And it was a really well done book.
Mm-hmm. So, Alycia, can you actually tell us like a blurb about your book series?
Well, let's see. The book series itself is mainly epic fantasy with a little bit of dark fantasy thrown in for good measure.
Okay, of course.
Yeah, as Andy's going, yes. Yeah, I have a lot of fun with it. I've been writing it since about 2002, expanding the world, and I think I've got about 80 races or so.
What?
40 on the, yeah, Whoa. 40 on the Sylvan side, 40 on the Deadwalker side. So
whoa.
We have lots of fun, and we have lots of creatures to explore. I've got the 2 characters that we talked about, but I've also got 6 major characters that roam around the world together. And they're of all different races: elves, werecats, werewolves, Dampiers, dryads, etc. So I have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry?
I was just going to say, I saw it when I was reading, I always read about the author before they come on here, and you had a dryad, and I didn't know what that was.
Dryads traditionally were Greek mythology. Hamadryad, it's a type of tree spirit, kind of like a sprite. And my dryads have the ability to leave their birth trees and go on questing adventures because it's far more fun that way. But they have green skin, and they actually do get some of their nutrients from the sun, from the chlorophyll in their skin. And they have to carry their a bit of their birth tree with them wherever they go. If they lose that bit of their birth tree, then they'll die. So it makes things, they're very much tied to the land and tied to the trees.
Okay, I was thinking druid. I've heard of a druid, but I also play World of Warcraft, so.
Gotcha.
You're a bit of a Philistine if you haven't heard of dryads, though, Stevie, because that's like Bacchus, the god, the Roman god. He was always partying with dryads and satyrs and people like that. Like that's Greek mythology, man.
Mm-hmm.
I need to study some more Greek mythology. Yeah, you're calling me a loser because I don't study Greek mythology. Wow. You know what? This is becoming the rude podcast. All right.
This is becoming a toxic relationship.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. That's good improv. That's good improv.
Very nice.
Thank you.
So,
actually, one other way that I thought of just now of turning a disability into an ability. It's not so much a disability as the way people are. The character from my Queen of Thieves series is very small. She's a girl. She's maybe 5'3", 5'4". It's never explicitly stated how tall she is in the book because it's fantasy, so there's no specific measurement that's easy to understand. But she's actually very small. So every scenario puts her at a disadvantage, whether she's going up against soldiers or running from people. She's small the whole book, so it puts her at a disadvantage. Right up until the end, when her size is literally the only thing that allows her to succeed where everybody else has failed.
Mm.
And so using little things like that, whether it's someone's size, someone's height, someone's eye color, just turning anything that could be perceived as a disability or a weakness, using it as a way to make the character unique and even successful at the end of the book is a really interesting way to go about using character features and traits instead of just personality disorders, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you brought that up because when I first read about disadvantage becoming advantage, I instantly thought The Hobbit. So instantly.
Or Lord of the Rings.
The whole thing, right? Yeah.
The 2 little guys, they got into Mordor because they were so unobtrusive, where they succeeded where an army would have failed. And that's like a perfect example of something. The hobbits are one of the weakest of the races. They're super peaceful. They have zero warlike proclivities.
Mm-hmm.
But because of their size, who they are, no one's ever heard of them essentially. And then there's that character strength about them. The resolve, the determination that makes Samwise Gamgee sort of the hero of the Lord of the Rings series.
Mm-hmm.
They succeed where Aragorn and Legolas and all of the other characters would have failed, because the other characters would have gone out and fought the orcs instead of being captured or dressing up in the orc armor and marching along behind them. It's the way of approaching things. Their disability became their ability.
Mm-hmm. That's very much the way that one of the characters, Lauracia, is. She is the only human in the group, and so by definition, she has the dullest senses. She's one of the smallest. She's one of the weakest, and yet she has this power and this strength to really draw the group together and make them genuinely love and want to fight for each other, because she's just a genuine and sincere person. And it's really neat just to watch something that you wouldn't expect to be an advantage actually become an advantage, of being able to draw out the humanness in these characters.
And I mean, in a way, you could even take that a step further when it comes to these characters. Like, let's say someone who is the product of an alcoholic family. They see the way that their father, mother, brother, sister, or spouse, whatever, treated them, and so they have this emotional baggage that could be a disability in many scenarios. They have a hard time finding love. At one random moment in the book, or at a crucial moment in the book, because they know they have this experience, this disability that or this disadvantage, let's say, that has formed in their life as a result of harsh circumstances, they can use that experience, that understanding of people, and it can lead them to be successful where other people who haven't had that experience would have failed.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there is actually a scene very much like that in Dream Drifter, but I can't say anything because it will spoil a major plot point.
Ooh, yeah. Definitely don't spoil anything. So,
well, you know what? Let's dive right into this reading and have a little taste of the good stuff for ourselves.
Dun 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 dun.
Andy's favorite part. You couldn't wait this time.
No, this was the part that I was really excited about, because we get to read about dragons.
Ooh. Let's see.
And I'm actually listening to Aragon while I'm working out, so I'm very familiar with the whole dragon rider dynamic.
Are you really? Have you read it before?
No, this is my first time.
Oh, it's so good.
Yes, it is.
And the only complaint that I can really say is the kid's been knocked out like 5 times in the first book, and that's a few times too many.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's true. Hey, I actually lost the document because Andy, no, here it's Dream Drifter, right?
Yes, Dream Drifter is the excerpt.
All my emails are like mixed together for some reason with all these different authors. But okay, I'm good to go.
All right, so Alycia, as the guest adventurer on our podcast, who would you like to read? What parts would you like to bring to life, or part? Do you want the narrator? Do you want a character? Do you want 2 characters? Direct us.
Or do you want to read the whole thing?
Oh gosh, no.
Anything?
Hang on, let me get. I've got to now open it up, which is helpful.
I feel like Katya, the main character, would be the perfect thing for you, because it's a woman, and you're the only woman among us.
Okay. Do you want me to read Katya's parts then, and somebody else do narration?
Yeah,
okay.
Sure. Definitely read Katya's parts. There's only the dragon's voice, or are there multiple characters?
We've got Vertigon, who's the dragon. We've got Nahalen, which is the elf, and we have Dalen, which is our Dhampir.
Ooh,
all right,
man,
so
that's difficult.
So what kind of accents are we talking about here? The elf will probably be sort of a Ponzi kind of character.
Well, actually, oddly enough, he's got a little bit of a Scottish brogue about him.
Oh, perfect for Andy.
Yay.
Got to do that one.
I can do that one.
I want to do the dragon if that's okay with everybody.
Go for it.
All right.
Very
good.
Is he
All right,
deep? Is he like Smog? Is that the one from The Hobbit? Smog?
Smaug, yeah.
Yeah.
Smog. So I keep wanting to say Vertigon.
Vertigon.
Verdagon.
There you go.
Is it Vertigon?
It's Vertigon. It is a name that means green and verdant.
Like
That's awesome.
Verde.
Mm-hmm. Very much.
Exactly. All right, Stevie, why don't you read the dragon? I'll start with the narration, and I'll pop in with Nyalin is his name.
Nahalin?
I'm gonna try not to mess that up too badly. And
Okay.
And why don't you also read Dialin as well, Stevie?
Okay, yeah, that sounds good
and
to me.
Alycia, if there are any other characters that need to be voiced, you can do it. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Let's go for
Now
it.
for the good stuff. All right.
I've never done a dragon before, so I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, just do a deep baritone, a booming bass.
Hello, I'm Vertigon.
Perfect. Oh, Lordy.
No, I'm gonna do the deep. That was
Here we go.
Right. Okay.
Vertigon roared as they flew up through the mists toward the tops of the clouds. Cool gray gave way to cold white. The dragon and his beleaguered rider leveled out just above the frothy white waves of winter clouds under a bright morning sun and jewel blue sky. Katya stared about her in awe.
This is beautiful.
Vertigon's lips parted in a fang-ringed smile.
That it is.
Katya gazed along the snow-like fields toward the granite teeth of the...
Nig Sol Devise.
I'm going to try not to screw that one up next time.
Whoa.
Which loomed large enough, even at this height, that they seemed beguilingly close. Katya felt as if she could lean out and touch them from Vertigon's back.
Incredible.
Yes, but dangerous. The wind currents shift wildly around the rocks. I dare not attempt to follow them without more flying experience. Let us go back now. I grow tired.
I know. I can feel the tremors in your muscles. Descend now.
Vertigon folded his wings and dropped like a stone beneath the cloud cover, leaving the sky's bright beauty and Katya's momentary elation behind. The pair dove through the misty darkness faster than either of their night vision could adjust. Then they finally comprehended the land rushing toward them.
Pull up!
Katya screamed as they hurtled dangerously close to a small lake's outer bank. Vertigon wrenched open his wings to catch as much wind as possible. He managed to slow their descent, but it was not enough to avoid hurtling headlong into the bank. Katya's ears flattened at the sounds of scraping scales and cracking bone as they skidded into the lake's icy shallows. The frigid water parted and then crashed over them as the dragon's body finally lost its forward momentum and began sinking into the mud.
Vertigon!
Katya roared. The dragon didn't move. Instead, his head stayed beneath the water and only bubbles broke the surface of the dark waves.
Vertigon!
The werecat shouted again. She scrambled out of her harness and pushed herself into the mud under his head to try to raise his snout above the liquid swirling around her chest. He was so heavy.
Lauracia!
Katya shouted the human dream drifter's name with her voice and with her mind. She had no idea where they'd landed, but she hoped that the
Otbre Carowin's mirror
shard embedded in the broken spearhead around her neck would amplify her words well enough for the dream drifter to hear her.
Katya, what's wrong? Help me. Vertigon is gravely injured, and I do not know how long I can keep him from drowning. Hold on, Katya. Help is coming.
The mist congealed around the werecat then. She sniffed the air and smelled a terrifyingly familiar stench, one of musty, salty decay.
No.
Katya whispered.
It cannot be. Not here.
Katya watched as the world around her flipped color. The gloomy sky became black as it was during a new moon. The lakeshore looked like the white of crushed bones, and the bloody waters swirled higher around her shivering body. The mists clawed at her, and then she screamed as she realized that this time she was chest deep in the Brolacan's favorite element, water. In the midst of the fog, a dark figure cloaked in gray appeared. It hovered just above the water, without the aid of wings, and drifted towards the werecat and dragon.
Is this me?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Why have you entered my domain?
The figure's thoughts came to her.
I deeply apologize for the intrusion. The dragon was learning to fly. We stayed aloft too long and crashed in this part of the lake. I cannot wake the dragon, nor can I move him on my own, so I've called for aid.
The Brolican's soundless mouth curled in a snarl.
No being is allowed into my territory without my permission, werecat, which I did not give to you. I will destroy all who interfere.
You would threaten the life of a pyrekin and his steward?
She shouted in desperation.
I would.
The Brolican drifted closer, his misty tendrils wrapping around the werecats and dragons' necks, choking them. With her last unrestricted breath, Katya roared at him in defiance, causing him to flinch.
I would know the name of my murderer.
She gasped around the loosened tendrils.
Grayman Rubero, brother of Grayman Ruthero, murdered by you.
Katya stared at him, incredulous.
I killed the Rivenet Ruthero while he helped Deadwalkers massacre my clan and capture me.
Using her wraith-walking ability, Katya bombarded Rubero's mind with her memories from the moment she and her two brothers had first noticed the Revenant's smoky haze drifting through the forest. To the mutilated bodies of her clansmen, who were near capture by the ghoul Kurkak and his Deadwalker allies on the river.
Cease this torment!
His stranglehold loosened even more.
No, you know that I show you the truth, and you have no grounds to justly execute me. I am innocent of murder. You, however, will not be, and your crime will cause great harm to all Sylvans.
Katya's memories of Vertigon, choosing her as his steward, and his blessings of Daelin as Inquisitor pummeled Rubero.
By killing me or harming the dragon, you endanger the Inquisition and the lives of all Sylvans. Do you choose to ally yourself with the hope of Sylvan freedom, or with the Deadwalker's enslavement?
Rubero snarled again, but Katya could sense his fear and continued her mental barrage.
Choose your side, Broligan.
She shouted. Stevie.
Is that... Yes. Choose...
Oh, that's Daelin.
Oh.
Is that the one that's supposed to be the Scottish guy?
Yep. Okay. That's the Scottish guy.
Okay.
Yes, choose, Brolican. Katya's stream of thoughts abruptly stopped when she heard Daelin's deep voice behind her. Rubero followed her gaze and spied the crest that Daelin had been given during the ceremony of blessings, now hanging from the Fire Forger Master's neck.
Inquisitor,
came the mental hiss. I am he, and I will protect my own. As Katya felt the incredible heat of the Fire Forger's flame build behind her, the mist tendrils lifted around her in Vertigon. Then the world's hues became normal once again. The werecat turned to look at Daelin over her shoulder. The Fire Forger held twin flames in his hands, their light adding a luminous glow to his pale skin. His dragon-like wings were half extended, and his blue eyes burned with an expression as intense as the heat of the blue fire blazing above his palms. Release my allies, Brolahan, or so help me, I will transform your lake into a scorched crater. Rubero pulled his misty shroud about him and vanished with one last, echoing shriek of fear and loathing.
Ah!
Katya, are you well? Daelin asked. The werecat shook her head.
Vertigon won't wake. I can't move him.
Stevie, this one to you.
Is this the half vampire guy?
Nope, this is the elf harm healer.
Oh, let me examine him.
Nahalen said from behind the Fire Forger. Katya blinked at Daelin in surprise, and then realized he had flown Nahalen to attend Vertigon.
What's wrong with him, Master Harm Healer?
She asked. The elf mage was silent until he finished his inspection.
Aside from multiple contusions and a concussion, Vertigon has a broken limb, a broken wing, 4 cracked ribs, and at least 3 fractured vertebrae in his tail. How far did you two fall?
Katya squinted in thought.
He tried to level out of a free fall roughly a spruce length above the ground. It was only partially successful.
So I see.
Nahalen cleared his throat.
Daelin, would you be good enough to bathe him with as intense a flame as you can maintain?
Daelin nodded and took a deep breath and went to work. The harm healer and skin shifter hurried behind the Fire Forger as he gently touched an incandescent blue flame to the dragon's neck. Fire licked among the green scales and seeped into Vertigon's inert body. As Daelin continued his treatment, the Fireforger's flames enveloped the Pyrekin's body, cauterizing his wounds and replenishing his energy. The sun was well past its zenith when Vertigon's tail finally twitched, his first sign of life since his and Katya's fall. The dragon's eyelid rolled open and he sneezed a great spray of water out of his nostrils, once again drenching Katya in water and muck. The werecat cringed. She looked forward to the day when her adventures didn't include her being dunked in some form of grimy liquid.
Good to see you awake, my sir.
Vertigon squinted at Daelin in surprise.
What happened?
We crashed and you were badly injured.
Katya volunteered. When the dragon squinted at her, Katya explained the fall and the encounter with the Brolahan.
Daelin is working to mend you.
Nahalen added.
You have been unconscious for most of the day. We had to see to your worst injuries before we could hazard moving you. I hope the transport barge arrives soon. I want to be well rid of this place before nightfall.
Are you worried the Brolahan will attack us in the darkness while Vertigon is still vulnerable? Daelin asked.
Him or something worse?
The elf said as he surveyed the tall trees. None of them had seen Deadwalker since Vertigon's crash, but that didn't mean the monsters weren't lurking somewhere in the shadows. Forgive me, my sir, but I need a moment, Daelin said through rapid breaths.
Not at all. Rest.
Daelin extinguished his fire and seated himself beside Nahalen on the log, hanging his head in exhaustion. Nahalen looked up at the late afternoon sky as he wrapped the dragon's injured limbs and tail.
It grows late, and the transport barge still has not arrived.
Katya and Daelin followed the harm healer's gaze across the lake, noting that Rubero's dark mists were gathering once again. We're too exposed here, the Fireforger said. Can you move? Vertigon grunted as he pushed himself to a stand, using his remaining ring to keep as much weight off his broken foreleg as possible.
I will do what I must.
Together, the four of them labored across the semi-frozen ground around the lake. They reached the river's mouth and followed it northeast for several spruce lengths before finally discovering what had delayed the barge. A huge pair of trees had fallen across the main channel, forcing the barge crew to anchor while they worked to clear the blockade. Together, the three mages helped the Pyrekin hobble onto the barge and continue their vigil against the Brolahan and the gathering night as the barge's crew propelled them upriver toward the safety of the Isle of Summons. As the sun dipped below the trees, Katya sat down beside Daelin on the wooden foredeck.
Thank you for coming to save me.
She said simply. He nodded once, but didn't speak.
Are you still angry with me?
She ventured. Daelin sighed. You and Larisha and I are about to go on a journey together, where we must rely solely on one another for survival, and yet you would withhold a decision as important as my being named Inquisitor from me.
I had no choice. I was...
Sworn to secrecy, yes, I know. But from this moment forward, I cannot afford for you to keep secrets from me ever again. I know you didn't keep your silence out of malice, but my being ill-prepared is dangerous.
Ever since Bryn's death, you have doubted yourself.
He nodded. I felt the darkness well up inside myself. The terrible thirst that the White Wolf's blood kept at bay is barely quenched when I feed from Tyron. And if that horse fails me, there will be no escape, not for me, not for anyone. Daelin picked up the crest resting on his tunic and traced his fingers over its insignia. He laughed then, and the bitterness in his voice stung Katya's ears like frostbite. How ironic is it that the grand hero whom the Ring and the Pyrekin would send to rid the world of the Fang vampires and their bitten Deadwalker spawn is himself a blood drinker. He dropped the medallion. It swung heavy against his chest as he hid his pale face behind shaking hands.
That was so good. Love the ending.
Yee.
Well done.
Oh yeah, very. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of buying like a Dungeons and Dragons already pre-made campaign and just like reading it like a book. So I felt like we were playing a good game of D&D. So
Yay.
yeah, it's
Makes me happy.
that. Yeah, I really enjoyed myself. Andy, you took it and it was so awesome because she said like just a little bit of a Scottish accent, so you didn't go all crazy on it. Did you do that on purpose?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I noticed.
There's the hard Scottish, like the Highlander Scottish, which is bloody hard to do, and then there's the gentle Scottish, which is I just access my Doctor Who memories.
Oh, I noticed.
Nice.
I noticed. And Alycia, I have to say, you get an award for being the first female to actually like act out the female part. Did you notice that, Andy?
I'm sure we've had other females act out the female part, Steve.
Oh, did we? Okay, I don't remember. But like,
I feel like we ought to have done that, so we probably have.
we would probably have gotten onto them. You gotta act.
Yes. Well, nice job, guys. That was awesome.
That was a lot of fun.
It was a great scene.
Yeah, Andy and I always really enjoy doing the readings. And we actually have a comment from RJ Davies Mornix. He said, "Love these voices. You guys rock."
Thank you, Rhonda.
That's awesome. Oh, is that Rhonda?
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like she's watched before.
Yeah, and last time you said, RJ, thank you to he.
Well, I always do that. Yeah, I thought so. Okay, so I'm sorry, Rhonda. No offense.
We'll get it right one of these days, Rhonda. Or maybe I should just say it when we get these comments.
Yeah, so I don't look like an idiot. Awesome.
So, Alycia, tell us how many books.
Adorable.
How many books are there in this series?
There are 2. I'm working on the 3rd right now. The 3rd is.
So it's going to be a trilogy.
It's either going to be a trilogy or a quartet. I haven't figured that out yet. I know the ending. I just haven't quite figured out the middle as to how to get from point A to point Z just yet.
Gotcha.
Are you outlining it or are you pantsing it? A little bit of both.
A little bit of both. I actually started using Scrivener a few months ago, and I love the software program.
Yeah, I do too. Andy, do you use Scrivener?
No, I've never tried it before.
What?
I'm organized enough that I don't really. I feel like I don't need it.
Nice.
I will try it at some point, but for now I've got a system that works pretty well using Microsoft Word, so I'm happy.
You are really the first author I've met. The first the first one that hasn't used Scrivener. So, but I started with Word.
I started with Word.
So, but I love Scrivener. But I'm bad at organizing. So.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about my organizational skills. Sometimes they're great and sometimes they're not.
With all those characters, how could you not be organized?
Well, I have a 50-page document of appendices that has every single character, the definitions of each character, some of their background, the racial definitions, and everything else.
That is some George R.R. Martin stuff right there.
A little bit.
Do you add it at the end of your books?
There is a full pronunciation guide and glossary at the end of every book.
See, Andy, she's thinking about us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's awesome. I've always written single character stories, so I'm going to try a dual character story for the first time later this year, and we'll
nice.
See how it goes.
Like one that changes point of view, or
yeah, 2 point of view characters, the guy and the girl, and the romance novel.
Nice. Well, yeah, it's a romance novel. You got to do it in the romance novel.
Yeah, exactly.
Andy, did you see that picture I posted of the dragon?
Yes, I love that. It was so funny.
You did? I didn't know if that was too much or not, but I was like, I have to do it. That's something the gnome would do.
Yeah, there's no such thing as too much. So, I mean, I've never found the limit yet. So go ahead and do silly stuff like that.
I'll find the limit for us. Don't worry.
Don't tell him that. Now we're all in trouble. Gosh.
That's great. So I feel like we're coming to a close here. Am I right, Andy?
Yeah, we're coming to the end of our
hour.
Remember, we still got a few minutes. If there's anything,
any pressing matters. Well,
I don't know.
Alycia, how could somebody find you?
The easiest way is AlyciaChristine.com, and that is AlyciaChristine.com. And if you can read it, which is probably backwards, but that's okay. So that's the website, and you can also find me at Facebook as Alycia Christine, and on Pinterest and Twitter as Alycia CZS.
Cool. I just added you, and you know what? I just see that you have hashtag Christian by your name. You should really go back and watch our religious episodes. It's something I found interesting because I'm also a Christian, and I've always had questions about writing fantasy as a Christian. So that might be something you'd be interested in.
Very much so.
So, Andy,
Actually,
what's up?
a note for our listeners from the religious podcast, the one we did is fantasy anti-religion. I sent an email to Brandon Sanderson because we mentioned him as a believer, I believe a Latter-day Saint. And I asked him if, because we were talking about does fantasy clash with religion, how they can sort of justify it. And he's going to talk about it, or he's going to answer the question in one of his upcoming FAQ Friday posts. So when we get the answer, I'm going to make sure to follow it and see that I get it, and we can bring up the answer in one of the future podcasts. I'm really excited to see what he has to say about that.
Nice.
That would be thug.
Don't say thug, Steve.
Yeah, I knew you're gonna see. That's why I said it. I wanted to get your response on that. Thugalicious.
No. I have to correct my kids all the time. They say like ridiculous variations on awesome or yas, and I'm like, no.
Oh no, not the yas.
We don't talk like that in this house, and unfortunately, they still do. But
did they go through the YOLO thing?
Oh gosh,
a little bit.
A little bit.
I have tons of fun teasing them, like pretending that I'm one of those parents who is hip, but like with 5 years ago lingo.
Oh
using
gosh.
Stupid hashtags and stuff. Hashtag everything.
Yes.
It's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, and especially when you're around their friends, that's when you really do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've stopped letting me hang around them and their friends.
That's not. Andy, how old are you, Andy?
I'm 29. I'm gonna be 30 this year.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay. I thought you were 50. I don't know why.
Oh, dude, that's so wrong.
You're so lucky this is a podcast, Andy. For all of you not watching, Andy just did a very rude gesture. So, wow, Andy. Wow. We just went there for the first time in Fantasy Fiends podcast history. And Alycia, you were here to...
I was here to witness this.
Yes. Yeah, you were. So...
Groundbreaking stuff we are.
Yeah. Well, awesome. So I do want to ask all our viewers and listeners to please subscribe and like. That really helps us out because getting anything going on YouTube is super, super difficult. Rana just said there is no limit, so go for it all. So I will be posting horribly crude things on our Facebook. So please follow us on Facebook. But yes, please like and subscribe. Alycia, I want to thank you first because I'm nicer than Andy. Thank you so much for being here. And I had a blast reading your excerpt. Really took me back to D&D. So I look forward. We'd love to have you back on here at a future date. So
thank you guys. I've loved it.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun.
When your next book is coming out, send me an email. Don't email Stevie. Don't email him. He'll take forever. He'll take forever to get back to you.
Wow.
I will answer you right away.
I'm not at my computer all day, and I have a life. No, actually, I really don't have a life. It's that I just got to sit down, talk for my family, saying they never see me. I'm just like, guys, I work I get up at 7, and I write until about 9:30, and then I go straight to my full-time job. I get back, I mark it, and I write more, and I go to bed around 9:30. I feel like
that sounds
I'm 50.
about right.
Yeah, because I have my own apartment coming up, my own bills now. So I just got to school, so I have all these bills to pay. It's not my fault. I have no life.
Stevie's a big boy.
Wah.
Yeah, and pretty soon you'll get to the point in which you just don't want to adult today.
I don't want to adult today. Alicia's like, I don't want to come back on this podcast again.
No, that is not what I'm saying. Happy to come back anytime you guys want to have me.
Awesome. Well, we wish you all the luck in the world on your third book, and congratulations on joining Scrivener. Maybe we can get somebody else to get it, try it out. And I want to try Vellum, by the way. I know I want to try Vellum, Andy. Formatting, we got to get ourselves a Mac.
Yeah, sounds terrible. Let's do it.
Buy me a Mac.
Yeah, I'll just get right on that.
Yeah, you know my PayPal. All right, guys.
I'm gonna say it tonight, Stevie. Damn it.
Okay. Whatever. Fine. Do it.
That's it for tonight. Tune in next week to hear Stevie fanboy over Nicholas Eames.
Yeah, I believe so. And I'm not just a Nicholas Eames fanboy. I am also a Andy Peliquin fanboy. I was an Andy Peliquin fanboy first. So as soon as you killed somebody by sticking a knife up their balls, this is my guy. I got to email this guy. This is my guy. And
but Stevie's been looking forward to this particular guest since the beginning of our podcast. So he's going to be doing most of the talking next time, and we're going to have a ton of fun because evidently Nicholas Eames stuff is hilarious. So we're going to have a ton of fun reading his stuff.
Alycia, you should totally read his book, Kings of the Wild. It's the first book that's actually made me tear up a little bit and laugh at the same time. So it's really good. Andy's book is super sad too, so you should pick up his. Like, there's no light in Andy's book. Oh, but I'm gonna stop there. He's just a very dark man.
I'm actually a super happy kind of dude. Like, you'd never know it by looking at me or by hearing me talk. People, they always talk to me, like when I'm at conventions and stuff. I'm talking with them and just interacting, and then they read my book and they look at me. And they can't understand that this friendly looking guy, it writes the sort of stuff that I do. So it's a really fun way.
Did you just do that looking up thing, like they're looking up at you?
Most people do. So
wow, that's awesome. Okay, all right. Like and subscribe, everybody. Help us out, Alycia. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you guys very much. Enjoyed it.
All right. Have a good night. Bye. Bye.